Johnny Mayer.
Going live.
Record button's on the phone. Record button is on audio, and record button is on the real camera too. John Mayer.
Hey,
back on the pod.
Good to be back. Yeah, 3 times. I'm honored.
Good to have you back.
Different. One was my house.
Oh yeah,
one was your old house.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have upgraded. Yeah, it's been cool to see. I mean, I remember when what was your first podcast? You called it like Paper
Courts.
Yeah. And the recording like quality
it was terrible.
Terrible. And just to see the evolution, like the growth.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool.
That's funny that you remember that. You're probably one of like 5 people in the world that remembers Paper Courts, because it was
legendary.
Because I had all these recordings, because that was when I was reporting on We Were Kings.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, I feel like people would really enjoy the audio versions of these interviews, so I just put them up. But it was just me talking on my computer, recording it with my phone, just on voice memos. Yeah. And I was like, let's just put this up and see what happens. And it was bad audio, as you know.
The content was good.
Yeah. And I was like, all right, well, let's fix it up. And then Try hit me up and wanted to start a podcast. Like, that's a great idea. Yeah. I don't know how to record good audio though.
Right. It's cool to see. Congratulations. It's come a long way. And another book. I mean, cool.
Another book. Glad we could get it in your hands.
Yeah, I'm excited to read it.
Are you guys working on another book?
In theory.
Okay.
In our heads, we have emails written about writing a book.
Okay. That's where it starts.
Yeah.
We're definitely big idea guys.
Yeah. But you guys have done a lot too, though. But yeah, we want to do a 2.0. I mean, we kind of like, ours is not a hardback like that, but the first one is basically like an homage, or like what we learned right from I think it was about 2015 to 2019, and we've learned a lot since then. I've actually kind of totally changed face about the way I coach, so we're just coach your brains out 2.0, eventually work on that. I think it's going to be this fall. Actually, the biggest holdup is Billy. It's in between fantasy books. He's got that's honestly what we're waiting for. It's like because he's the one. I mean, he's the writer. He's the one who makes it go and sets up that. So he was supposed to finish. What's the third one? He's calling it Royal Blood, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, the first one was
it's Dark Blood. Good Blood.
Good Blood. Dark Blood. Okay. And this one's Royal Blood. And then he got the job at Cal, and now he got the job at Stanford, and all that's getting in the way.
Come on, Billy.
Priorities, bro.
How are we going to finish Royal Blood if all these universities hire him? And then how are we going to do Coach Your Brains Out 2.0?
Right.
So that's really been the holdup, but it'll come out.
Well, as when Tryon asked me to coach, like the first thing I did was pull that Coach Your Brains Out back off the bookshelf, and that sort of served as kind of the foundation. Then, as I was telling you, I've given you guys a lot of back downloads in the last couple of weeks, just going through. Yeah. And the first thing, I was just finding all the legends, the Marv Dumphys and John Kessels and all those guys, and then now I'm like diving deep into the motor learning, which I know that you're fascinated by. But you mentioned that you've kind of done an about face coaching from that Coach Your Brains Out 1.0 to the 2.0 that might come out whenever Billy's done. Just
if he sucks at coaching, it's on you.
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot of pressure, but I think we've had some good coaches on, so there's some stuff to pull that
for sure
wasn't all me. Well, I think it's really admirable. Well, personally, I think coaching is about as an important job in the world as there is. The influence you can have on young people's lives, the mentor you can be for adults. I think it's an impactful position. And the issue is we don't treat it that way. Like my daughter's 5th grade teacher has an advanced degree in education, in mathematics. My daughter's 5th grade coach has no coaching education. The requirement is she played when she was in high school, and so you can coach, and you brought up motor learning. There's decades of research on how to effectively run a good practice. I mean, there's psychology. You talked about sports psychology with you guys talking with Gervais. I mean, there's so many fields to dive in and learn about, but I don't think we treat it that way as a profession. We treat it as, you played once. Yeah, you can coach.
Yeah, totally.
And we don't go, no, this person could positively, negatively change their lives. And this kid or this adult might have a negative relationship with activity, with exercise, with sport, and lead an unhealthy life or a healthy life. They might make lifelong friends. They might develop an obsession for the sport because of the way the coach goes about it. But we don't, unfortunately, respect it the way it should be. So I think I guess I'm fired up hearing you say, I'm interested in coaching. And just because I played, I'm realizing, no, that's not enough. Like, I want to go learn. Like, I want to dive in. I want to understand. I want to be able to coach at a high level. I want to do this right. I want to pay service to this job that's so important.
Yeah.
So I respect that.
And because, I mean, one of the biggest mistakes sort of, or just faux pas that you can make as an athlete is you coach the way that you were coached.
Yeah.
But if that was an effective way of coaching and you didn't really know, I was in kind of a fortunate position as where I was as a player is I was good enough to get into the top team's practices and sort of steal all of their coaches for free. But I wasn't good enough where all the top teams thought I was a threat. So like, no, like he can't come. So it was perfect. So I was able to be coached by pretty much all the coaches who were coaching the top team. So I was able to steal like, hey, I really like this from Evie, like this from Davenport. Jose did a really good job of this and so on. But then adding, and then I'm just fascinated by it.
Yeah.
And when we were talking with Gervais, I was saying like, I like doing things that I'm really excited about. And now coaching's really exciting to me. And so just like learning about that, it's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's that mix of observing good coaching. And that's, I think, a great way to learn, but also to have some sort of evidence to pull from to inform your principles. Like I've done some research. I've read some books. I've listened to some experts. And then I've also like observed really good people in the field. I think when you get that mix, then you can have some things to stand on. Then you can become your own coach, not just I'm Jose Jr.
Right.
Yeah, I'm Travis, and I learned some things from Jose, and I learned some things from this research, and
you've been in the player's shoes, which is extremely huge part of it, right?
Oh,
you've been in that arena on the court, which some coaches lack.
Yeah, to have that perspective, to have that empathy, that learning's really hard.
Yeah, like it's not as easy as I'm making it sound right now.
Yeah, I think that combination of things can lead to good coaching. But you can see why it's complicated and why it's easy to be a really bad coach, and it's easy to mess this up. So it's a dynamic profession. What
did that about face look like from 2019 to 2023? Maybe not about face, but what have you layered onto your coaching? Maybe what are some things that you don't do anymore that you did when you sort of started?
So use the word motor learning. I was raised, or the mentors I learned from came from motor learning in a field it's known as informational processing. So a more cognitive based approach, and maybe the traditional way that coaching's been done, which would be more repetition based. We're going to get lots of repetition and more, there's one right technique, like one right way to do things. Basically, and a lot more top down. The coach is going to be the person who has all the answers. I know the right way to do it, and I'm going to put it in your brain, and then you're going to go execute it. So I would coach more in that way. I came in and I had a system. Every player, I didn't consider maybe the individuality of different players. Every player had a certain way that I decided they were going to serve, a certain way they were going to pass. And when they went off, it was very linear. When they went off that track, no, that wasn't the right way. Do it this way. No, you didn't hold your hands the right way. You got to do it this way. No, that wasn't the right platform. This is the way to do it. So very coach driven, top down, and very linear. Sometimes even doing things out of context. We're going to take away all the elements of the sport, and we're going to teach you this motor program on how to pass the right way. And then we're going to assume that motor program is going to be installed into the game. So then, and I think lots of good players, there's lots that it works. There's lots of ways that you can learn that way, and lots of good players have come through systems like that. And I had some success with it. Actually, we won our first WCC Championship 2019 under that system. 2020 COVID hits, and things slow down, and I through the podcast, people had brought up this idea. There's this like kind of new, more modern approach. Like people in motor learning are talking about this idea called ecological dynamics, I had people send me research papers. I remember reading the abstract. Like, I understand 5 words. And this is like, it's like dynamical systems and, you know, stochastic resonance and the way it's like, dude, there's like, nah, like just let me get back to like blocked versus random and give me the basics of motor learning. So yeah, COVID hits and things slow down, and I had a chance to, there's some PhDs I got connected with and would do weekly Zooms, and they kind of took me through this different way, this ecological approach, which I don't want to like overly bore you guys with, but
I'm here for
it. So I guess just to kind of contrast it to like the informational processing, that like linear approach, I mean, it's some opposites. It's like non-linear. So I talked about the coach being the provider of the solution. When you approach things from an ecological perspective, it's the coach is the provider of problems. So I'm not here to say that's this is the way, this is how you have to do it. But here's a unique movement problem. Now go try to solve it. So for example, so a common passing problem we would see is maybe a deep serve. Someone pops up, like the ball's going backwards.
Glad we're on this because I've been working on that.
Topical.
So, and there's lots of things that could be leading to this problem. Before I had my keys, I had my, you got to keep your shoulders down. You got to see the line of the serve early. You got to set your angle early. The ball does angles. So I'd have these keys where I'd tell the person what to do. And I think I was creating a little bit more of a robot and saying, and it's helpful, and you'd see them get a little bit better at it. So it's, as a player and a coach, it feels pretty good. So the newer approach is, I see a problem. I'm gonna destabilize. I'm gonna take away that solution from them. So it takes a little creativity. But like, what if we put, we fold up a towel and we put it on their shoulders, and we say, okay, the goal is to keep the towel on and pass the ball forward. And the serve comes and it comes deep, and the towel, they pop up.
So you can't lean back.
And
falls off.
And the towel falls off. And they go, try to keep the towel on. I'm here to provide problems because I want players who aren't reliant. And when something hard happens, they go, what do I do? That's what I used to create, that sort of person, that sort of player who is fragile. Now I say, this is a hard problem, and I'm here to help, but what else could you try? What haven't you tried yet? What's something different you could try? And so I'm just nudging them to explore, nudging them to experiment, and put the towel back on, and I'm telling the server, try to knock it off, like try to make it hard. And they're having to self-organize and discover and adapt and experiment and explore. And I'm trying to figure out, how do I keep this towel on? So one, I'm learning new skills. Like I'm not just being told there's one way to do it. I'm in my own unique body, my frame. I'm doing it in a different way. And two, I'm learning a more important skill. I'm learning how to be a problem solver.
Right.
Like, which if that's, that's probably maybe the most important part of our sport, most important skill. So I started to kind of get this around in my head. It's like, okay, I can build skills, and maybe build skills that are more appropriate for this player who's got long arms and this player who's this height. Because I'm not just deciding before I even watch them. Before I watched, I knew how they were supposed to pass. But also they're learning how to be adaptable, problem solvers, anti-fragile, like all these skills that are game changers. So
love that.
That's a small intro. I mean, I could keep going with it, but
I love that.
I think coaching is not something that I think many people associate with creativity, but you need to be as I've discovered just in the past couple of weeks starting coaching, is that you need to find creative ways to sort of, I don't say guide them to finding their own solution. Like the towel. Like, would have never thought about putting a towel on Try's shoulders to keep him from standing up when he passes the deep floats.
But that's honestly, like, I'd be really refreshed if he did that, rather than, especially like a Travis, who's, compared to me, he actually has way less experience in the sport, right? Instead of him just being like, stay down, get your feet out of the way, and like tell me some generic technique thing. Him giving me something, a feel thing. Like I've told him many times, like, I'm a feel guy. If I can teach my body what it feels like, then I can repeat it 100 times, becomes a habit, and that's how I learn. But with coaching, I've noticed over the years, especially at the professional level, where I have a lot of trust in myself and what I know, I need a coach who wants to be collaborative with me.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's figure this out together. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
Not that I don't trust you, not that that's not wrong. Like, I need to listen to my coach, but like, it just doesn't resonate with, I don't trust anyone as a whole to just teach me the whole game at this point. I have way too much evidence of things that have worked for me.
Right.
But at the same time, I'm a beginner at everything in some ways.
Yeah.
So like, collaborate with me, listen to me first of all, and then I'll listen to you, and then we figure out what we think is best.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think the best coach is for me.
Yeah.
I'm at the professional level. It's a little different than maybe youth.
I think it's across
Maybe
the
not.
board.
Yeah.
I think you're on to human experience.
Okay, well, there we go.
Yeah. I mean,
That's how I've noticed. I'm like, if I can get a coach to do that, which I'm excited with Travis because he's a good listener.
yeah.
And the ego's usually dropped, right? That we can just figure stuff out together.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I think a great coach is. Let's figure stuff out together. Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah.
And like, I don't want to follow your like strict little plan that you have.
Right. Yeah.
It's probably harder now because I have so much experience and have so much trust and confidence in myself. But yeah, I mean, even at the youth level, kids are doing things instinctually that are amazing, right?
Yeah.
And you don't want to take that away from them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think coaches take away creativity.
Right.
Yeah. Coaches will have, now I'm ripping on coaches to say how important it is, but we'll have this ideal technique and like, yeah, that would be great in a painting. But the reality of the sport is like the same serves never come twice, and it drops, and it's random, and things that like we got to be in positions that are
You want your player to be like, I do every once in a while, I'll do like a 360 pass and it's perfect, right? Yeah. Just because that just felt good and it was super instinctual, and I love it because I'm like, how
it was the best
cool
solution
is that?
For the situation. Yeah.
Yeah, and I made it fluid and like went straight into my approach, and it was like, no one's taught me the 360 pass. I probably stood up with it and everything.
And forever, coaches said, "Don't jump when you set on the beach." I mean, there's all sorts of things that we've limped. Don't serve. Don't jump when you serve.
Yeah.
There's all these things, and there's things going on now that coaches or tradition or history is stopping from growing. There's a great quote from Franz Bosch, who's kind of a legend in this field. He says, "The body it's surprising how little interest the body has in what the coach has to say."
Right.
And that's been studied. You tell a player, put your shoulder at 45 degrees, and players are like way off. Like our body is going to move towards safety and achieving the task.
Right.
And the coach could say whatever they want to say, and our body's like not that interested in doing it. And it's that creates this tension you're talking about of like coach saying, "I know how you're supposed to do it. This is it." And my body's like, "No, I'm trying to achieve a goal. and I'm not, and I don't want to hurt myself."
Right.
So it just leads to this. And I mean, I think the other part is we crave autonomy. Like we thrive. We're way more motivated when we have some freedom. We have some sense of autonomy, of some say over how I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And I don't think it has to be like total autonomy. And that's where you're talking about the collaboration. We're working together. Like we're co-designing.
Right.
You're a part of this. I'm a part of this. I feel like I have some say in how I get to move, but you're guiding me and you're helping me make better decisions.
Right.
That's a successful partnership.
Yeah.
But that's not traditionally how coaching was. And I think people view it as this like top down of this authority, this figure that knows all the answers. And that's the thing that I don't think it worked that well then, especially over time. And now it's gone. But unfortunately that residue is still really thick and really strong.
Yeah.
And
no, I agree.
It's going to change. I mean, it's just like it's changing currently, but it takes time.
I was talking with my high school coach. I was back in Hawaii, and we were just talking about the whole body line, pass it on your body line or outside. Some people like both. And I've always been a body line. If I can get my feet there and square up, cut off the angle in front, it's always better for me. And then I go to Florida, and I was spending too much time trying to square up and get my feet there, so I was late on some passes and it just wasn't working very well. He's like, "Dude, just pass outside your body line, like keep your arms away." I was like, "All right," and I started doing it. I was like, I was just talking about how this isn't the way to pass, but then I'm like, you're right, in this situation it's definitely the way to pass. And obviously like balls are going outside your body line all the time, but like I was over forcing that like standard of like I need to get my body square and in front of it. And it's just like, dude, let your body teach you. Like, let the rep teach you what works.
Yeah. Yeah, your body can do amazing things if you free it up. If you don't overly constrain it.
All those instinctual things like the jump set and all that, like someone's body had to just do it, right? Like, I mean, people have been jump setting over the years here and there, whatever.
And their coach said, don't do that.
Exactly. That's why it didn't happen though. Even for me.
Yeah, me too.
I remember I was scared because I did it a few times and that was me just having fun, which is instincts and like something to listen to. But I was always nervous because I was like, I'm playing with Hayden, like I'm basically fucking around and dicking around and he's not going to have that, you know? So I was kind of always nervous to do it, but I always wanted to jump set and I thought it was fun to like juke out the blocker. Yeah. And it took basically the Swedes to be just like, this is us. And their coach was the one who pushed it. So they weren't like scared to do it.
Right.
Now we're all like, you better get on the jump set train.
Yeah.
And I think that's for everything. The body usually teaches us it first. And if we're smart enough to listen, then we can apply it through reps and all that.
Yeah. And that's kind of been the shift in the traditional coaching where it's like there's kind of one way to pass or one way to serve or one way to block. And we're going to hit that over and over and over. And we're going to repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And we're going to make it really repeatable to this ecological view of skill as it's this relationship with the environment, and we're going to let the body self-organize and we want it to be as adaptable as possible. And it's more about how many tools can I add? I'm not about taking away. Like if there's like the example of the towel, I'm taking away a solution that's not working, but I'm opening up. I want to have, you could pass off 1 foot. There's so many ways you could still accomplish this.
Right.
And as often as possible when I'm thinking, can I add a tool? Like what's a new, can I have them try it in a way? And even if they never use it, like maybe I'm opening up a potential even more like athleticism, trying to push more tools versus I'm trying to take away tools. So yeah, I think it's a way more fun way and creative way to approach our sport.
And one thing, sorry, you can go ahead, Dre.
Well, I was just saying, and the athlete is going to be more engaged and interested. Yeah. And therefore like more focused, right? Yeah. When you collaborate with them versus tell them what to do. And maybe their brain, like our brains all work differently. My brain works very differently than Travis's. Yeah. So to like coach us the exact same way. Yeah. You're not going to get our interest as much and therefore our focus and our energy. Yeah.
Yeah. It plays that same idea, like seeing each body as a robot. Here's the right technique, but also each person as a robot. Like, I'm going to give them this person gets the same feedback as that person. Yeah. No way. Like my team, I got 7 different languages. Jeez. Different life experiences. So I've got to understand the dynamics and the relationships are different and the communication styles. And, I think, and that's where you ask for feedback. Like, was that helpful? And that's where it's a collaboration. And that's why it's so fun. It's like, it's always different. It's never the same coaching experiences. So, yeah.
And I want to get to LMU in a second, but I wanted to point something out that Tri said where he was jump setting for fun just because he was playing. Yeah. And then that gets on to a topic I was listening of deliberate play versus practice, where I think that just playing, there's so much power to that, especially at the youth level, where I think our youth sports culture, where you got, because my dad, he's funny. He's like, I would have never put you guys in T-ball if I could do it again. Instead, just say, here, get a group of kids and just go play baseball. Yeah. But I think there's something to be said about this sort of outrigger generation, where you, Taylor, Trevor, Micah, Kavika, Eric, all at the highest levels of the sport, and you grew up, your parents just dropped you off and you played and you figured out the game. And then now I don't think it's any mistake. Like it's an accident or coincidence.
I never had a coach
that you're all the best players of this generation.
Yeah, maybe.
And what I'm wondering is, where do you balance? Cause you coach, how many girls do you have at LMU? Like 18. 16, 20? Okay. 18. Yeah. Where, how much sort of deliberate play can you throw in versus just having practice? Because with them, I know that Tri loves competition. So I try to start every practice with some sort of competition that's fun and playful, but we're also getting a mission accomplished. And how do you do that with 18 girls at LMU on maybe 2 or 3 courts?
Yeah. 4 courts. We got a new facility.
Okay.
We talked about.
Nice.
But I highlight to the experience that has been created at the Outrigger as I mean, a talent hotbed, obviously, but a lot of talent hotbeds become because of the environment.
Yeah.
You're talking about putting kids on a smaller court, scaling it, lower net, and less people on the court. And all of that leads to it looking more like volleyball, where I have our recent episode had a little rant on, I went to my daughter's first indoor tournament. She's playing on essentially the same size court as Jordan Larson.
It's so boring for a kid, I would think.
And there's 6 kids and they're specialized by position, and there's no exercise, and they're standing around. Like, why would we not scale it so it could look more like volleyball? If she is 4'8" and she's a taller 10-year-old, why is she playing the same as like a 6'3"?
Volleyball is so boring.
You're idiotic.
Like when you played it in elementary and you're just learning, like it was like just trying to get it over the net once or twice, and it's like, just standing here, this sucks.
Terrible.
Like, I never liked playing it. So
there's a game called I think what you guys did, either doing that, scaling it, but there's a game called Smash Ball, which I think should be what everyone does as a kid, and it would make volleyball way more popular for kids. Where there's basically it's a low net, it's like a tennis net, and it's like 2-on-2 or 3-on-3. As soon as you get the ball, the first version is you toss to your partner, they toss you a ball and you smash it, and it bounces and the other side tries to catch it, and then they toss it to their partner and they toss it to you and you smash it. And if you kill it, there's no like waiting to serve, you just grab the ball on your side and you toss it and you smash it and you smash it. And then there's iterations, you can go to like you toss it and they set it and you smash it, but you're jumping, you're running, you're trying to read where the ball is going. So like you're learning some volleyball principles. Obviously there's catching, which isn't the same, but you're taking away the worst part of volleyball, like the pain of the
the arms, yeah, totally,
and all the standing around, serving, misses, aces, and you're bringing in the elements of jumping, spiking, trying to read a spike, and all of a sudden volleyball's fun, and it's exercise, and we don't do that. We want to make it the same game as adults for some reason, and
it's so awful. Weird.
But anyways, going to your original question of LMU and trying to bring that idea, like the spirit of deliberate play instead of deliberate training, because all our girls, not too many of them they don't play, and they didn't grow up playing. They grew up training. That's crazy. Yeah, they grew up in structured practice and playing in the same environment. Like the court has, and same on the beach for my daughter. She's 10 and she plays on the same size court as Alex Kleinman, and we expect it to be
that's so funny.
Which is insane. We don't make it like the baby court, and I don't know why we don't make it like that. We have great evidence of why that would work, and it wouldn't be that hard to do. But so we try to bring some of those elements to LMU. Every week, especially in the preseason, we adjusted each court. So we have 4 courts. So one was a super low net. One court we have a high net, like a men's. One court we have all sorts of iterations. We've done slanted.
Oh, the old diagonal.
So one side's low, one's high. We move the lines all sorts of ways. Parallelogram.
You do the bed sheet on the net.
Hourglass.
I actually like that game.
We haven't done that, but I like that idea too. And then we'll play games, and every game you'll change. And the games will have different iterations with it, but. If you win, you move up, lose, you go down. And I was just playing on a low net where serves were being bombed at me, and I had to read the serve coming at me really fast. As a blocker, I have to all of a sudden see hard hit and make dynamic moves. As a defender, I'm reading faster shots. So I'm playing this accelerated game and making different decisions, and I have different attack options. And I didn't realize I could hit from there. And then I won, so I got to move up, and now I'm playing on the high net. And now there's all this pulling, and I've got to be really strategic and controlled with my shots. And then I won that game, and now I'm on the slanted net. Okay, I've got to figure out how to run a back set, or I've got to figure out how to serve that person and keep them on the high side. So every game, without a coach telling me what to do, how to do it, I'm getting to be playful. I'm getting to adapt. I'm getting to figure out how to win in different situations, and it's all implicit. It's not like I'm learning, but I don't even realize it. And I'm learning how to be adaptable when I go play in the wind, or when the net is a little high at this different place. I'm not fragile. Like, cool, let's figure this out. Like, I'm going to be better.
And the confidence in themselves to figure it out, right? Not, oh, my coach taught me it, and then I was better. Now in the game, my coach isn't here to do it for me. you know?
Yeah. That's what the old style of coaching, I felt a lot where I was the source of information. I was the source of knowledge. Something stressful would happen. It was right away kind of what do we do? How do we fix this? And, I'm like, oh yeah, if you just, do that, we'll be good. And, and of course that didn't work and they shank it. And now what's really cool, if you watch our teams, and I think if you compare it to other programs, when we switch sides, our players are talking to each other and don't even rarely talk to the coaches. And you'll see other programs, and it works for them. I think there's lots of ways to peel an orange, so this works for them, but the coach will hold their hand and they'll walk and they'll really, make sure everything's okay. Yeah. And, we got you, and here, if you just look at this, do that, then everything will. So it just feels like we're like, I like the word anti-fragile. We're resilient. We're independent. Like, and these are skills I want my players to have in life, that are, I think, volleyball skills, but life skills. And to do it in like that spirit of play. Like, just like as a kid, when we'd play games and we'd go out in the yard, like you just, we got this ball and that's going to be out of bounds and that's it, and trying to create that environment in practice, bring that spirit with, there's more structure. Like we set it up, but,
do you break it down in between and kind of like bring awareness to the things that they're learning?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
We'll post each game. There's the debrief. When they're competing, we try to really stay out of it. Maybe a question here or there. Is there something new you could try? Really trying to promote exploration. What, you look frustrated, we want to try something different. Right. But after, there's a lot of, what'd you guys learn?
Debrief, sharing.
Yeah.
Because then they're learning from each other too. Yeah. I got to imagine. You have like, whatever, 10, 15 girls all debriefing and sharing what they learned during that. And then they get to pick and choose what they steal from each other. And and all that.
Yeah, that's, and for us, it's more the small courts. So it'll be like 4, and each coach will on their own court. But yeah, one person maybe had a lot of success on the slanted net. Like she was like, just why was she succcessul? And it was open.
I learned it's easier to hit on the lower side.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised. People they just continue to hit on the high net, and that's where those debriefs can be interesting.
Right.
Like, I'm curious, like why you weren't having success. Why? That was really uncomfortable for me to go back.
Right.
That might be a new good skill to start. Because sometimes the wind makes it really hard, or to hit on that side. Today there's no wind, but the net's high over there, so you probably want to stay away from that part of the court. Yeah. And we probably, stuff like, why'd you'll hit a ball to the person on the low side or the non-wind side. So those sorts of like this, it's decision making training. It's in which I think those are the skills that really are the intangibles. As well as you're learning some movement and you're learning some technique without realizing it. So you get that combination of skills.
Yeah. I love
when
that.
did you start to find kind of your coaching voice, so to speak? Because I liken it to writing, where when I started writing, I loved Mitch Albom's writing. And I was like, okay, I'm going to do the best imitations of Mitch Albom. And they were really bad imitations. And then I was like, Wright Thompson, love his writing style. I'm going to do some really bad Wright Thompson imitations. But I also carried some of the principles over from Mitch Albom. And then Gary Smith and S.L. Price and all these things. And then eventually you sort of form your own writing style based on all the ones that you like. Versus coaching. It seems like now you've kind of settled in to you are your own independent coaching voice, obviously still taking stuff that you're learning. But I feel like at first, like when I looked at it, I was like, well, John was my favorite coaching style. I remember anytime I was in one of your practices with Billy and Stafford, I loved it. And I was like, I'm going to take as much from John as I can. But you seem to have found kind of your own distinct voice at this point. I'm curious what that process looked like for you.
Yeah, that's a deep question. I was listening to Pete Carroll. Someone sent me a 2-minute clip from his final interview with the Seahawks, and that was one of his big messages. Like, you got to be authentic as a coach. Like, I think they asked what advice do you have, and just the importance of being yourself and self-awareness and knowing yourself. And I remember my Pepperdine coach Marv Dunphy, who I think would be on the Rushmore, Mount Rushmore of coaches. Sure. He did his doctoral thesis, which again shows like he got his PhD in coaching, like shows how serious like you can take this. But he got his thesis studying Coach Wooden. He finished it, and he said for a while he was Marv Wooden. It's just like, and you get it, like, yeah, like I if you're going to be anybody, Marv Wooden's the guy, right? Like, and you spend time studying him. Like, of course you're going to say everything he said, but he's like, it wasn't authentic. You know, it wasn't me, and I had to be Marv Dunphy if I was going to be the coach I wanted to be. So I'd say I had some of that same stuff. Like I was John Dunphy, or tried to be, you know, like a really crappy version of that. Or Tom Black was a big influence. I think I still carry over. So all that's like with you, but then you start to see when you try to be like them and it doesn't feel right, and you're like, that's not that.
That was weird.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I think as you just experience more and think about it more and go to bed dreaming about coaching more, it just, I don't know, I guess it just starts to become a part of you. And then I think if you're thoughtful and reflective, you keep finding like what felt genuine and what felt, and you also spend a lot of time on forming principles. You know, I think, and it's important that they're evidence-based. So you start like understanding some psychology, some sports psychology, some motor learning, and all that. Okay, how do I make that like within my personality? How does that fit? But that stuff helps guide it. Mm-hmm. You know, so you feel like you have some backing behind it, some meat behind what. So I guess a combination of all that, and I would say I'm like, you know, I don't know, I didn't play that long ago. I'm still young as a coach. 2018 was my last season, so I'm still trying to find that voice. I might say I'm, you know, my last name, maybe I've got 3 of my letters and I still have a little Dunphy and a little Black in there.
John Mayfie.
Yeah, so I've got a ways to go to like, I feel like really keep coming into who I am and who I want to be. But yeah, all those pieces, like all this stuff, I think then the self-awareness, the reflection, all that adds up to understanding and being who you want to be.
I think it speaks to how far you've come as a coach in a relatively brief amount of time, because I look at you, I'm like, John's been coaching forever.
I was coaching all along. In college, I coached club. Every year I played, I coached at Santa Monica College. But it was, you know, I loved it, but it was like plan B, or it was thought B. Like the focus was on, I wanted to be the best player I could be. I wanted to get the most, and I wanted to make a career of beach volleyball. So that's where my attention went, and coaching was fun and I liked it, and I knew it was, I was building a resume, but I wasn't fully like, that's who I am.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah. So
you mentioned Marv. Who are some of the other bigger influences?
Well, I played at Pierce College. There's a legend there named Ken Stanley, call him Big Daddy. He actually played basketball at USC. So he's a big one. I mean, a lot of people through the podcast, Jason Watson, we just had on from Arkansas, really influenced by him. Casey Kreider at UMBC, been a big influence. And now
Casey
a lot of
Kreider.
He played at
my
Pepperdine.
age?
Yeah, he was setter at Pepperdine.
Dude,
yeah.
That's my boy.
Yeah.
We played on the youth national team together.
Yeah. Casey's the man.
He's doing good.
He's really like dove into the motor learning side. He's actually starting to pursue his PhD.
Oh, I got to reconnect with that guy.
He's at UMBC, which is a tiny school in Baltimore, and they made the tournament the last 2 years.
Whoa.
Yeah.
They were the first in basketball. They were the first 16 to beat a 1 when UMBC beat Virginia. So if anybody was wondering, why have I heard UMBC before? That's why.
Yeah, they're putting them on the map.
Oh, that's funny.
But now I've had more influences. I guess from sports psychology, a guy named Bernie Holiday he's worked with our team. He's really influenced, but a lot of the motor learning people is got Andy Bass, who's got a PhD in motor learning, Rob Gray, who's got a great podcast, and I've gotten to know a little bit. So I feel like, and that's where coaching, I mean, a college coach, it's like you got recruiting, you got to understand business, you got to understand analytics, you got to understand psychology, you got to understand skill acquisition, you got to understand marketing. So that's where if your one mentor is just a coach, then you're a specialist. Like I think as a college coach and any coach, you got to be a generalist. Mm-hmm. And that's where I think I've become a better coach, is the mentors I've gotten are now in a broader range of areas. And there's still, I mean, I got 30 years ahead to probably barely touch the surface of all those areas.
Can that be frustrating as a college coach in that, I mean, it's probably a small percentage of your time is spent actually coaching volleyball. Because like you said, it's recruiting, it's dealing with a lot of the overhead of just, with the AD and the school president and principal and all that. I know that frustrated Marcio and Delaney at Pepperdine, just how much time was spent not coaching.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Like there's stuff that's harder, but I think when you're obsessed with creating the best program you can, then even if it's a little mundane or like not your favorite thing, it's like, I want to do it because it's going to help my program. And I care so much about my program. So I think when you have that drive and that care for elevating and being the best you can be, like if it's all a part of it, then I want to do it at a high level, and I'm going to figure out how to. And so it's just, I think that part of it it's fun because it is dynamic, and there's new things to figure out, and there's new things like, that's a big weakness of mine. At some point I got to like figure that part out. Like it's, so I like that aspect of it. And I know there's a lot of frustration about, all the changes in college sports, transfer portal, NIL, that sort of stuff. And some of it is, it's frustrating once things change, when there's transition, it's frustrating. But I like even that, like, okay, how am I going to adapt now? Like, how do we how do we make the best of this? How do we figure out how to use it? So yeah, I think it's just I think it's the way you frame it. Like, is it a challenge? Is it a threat? And
I love that because it's funny because we had that almost exact same conversation with Gervais yesterday because he asked about
he's the best of that.
Yeah. He's an incredible conversationalist, but he asked what our definition of mastery is, and I said, if I can wake up and I'm really, really excited about what I'm doing, then I think that would be my definition. He's like, what about the mundane parts? And I was like, but if I'm really excited about it, there are no mundane parts. Even like practice planning for Try and Came, I get really excited about that because it's like, all right, here are the problems we're trying to solve. What are the creative ways I can help get them to solve it? Yeah. And I love that. Yeah. And so there are really no mundane parts when you're really excited about what you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And I bet same writing the book, right? I mean, there's stuff that's more difficult and there's stuff that's more tedious, but it's like, no, we're making progress. Like we're working on like there's a mission. I think that's I like that answer. I'd wake up the same way. Like if I can wake up and there's a mission, exactly, and I have a mission in life, then like, let's go. Like I'm going to do the work that's in front of me. Like whatever the work is, whatever the most relevant work that's there, then let's do it. Let's get to work and let's get on the mission. And that's when life's fun. Yeah. Yeah.
And you've got a couple irons of fire. You got the podcast, Coach Your Brains Out, which you guys have been doing for, it's got to be close to a decade.
Yeah, I think we're coming up in May would be year 9. Wow. We're finishing our 9th year, so starting our 10th, yeah.
And you guys have a couple, not spin-off series, but spin-off series.
Yeah, we were saying just how and you guys find too, like it's hard to continue to get guests. Initially you start the podcast, you're like, there's so many people you want to talk to you've never talked to. And at this point, it's like we've talked to a lot of the people we're curious about in the coaching world. So, it's nice to have people back, but it'd be kind of cool if we have little like series, where we don't have to just keep going to get guests. But so we have a motor learning series where I have the same 3 people and me we talk about different motor learning topics. So we just have that going. Now we're starting a sports psychology series. Same thing. Billy's doing that with Bernie Holiday and 2 other, Zach Sorensen, 2 other like high level sports psychologists. And then we have this 3rd one we started, which is a little, actually I'm pretty fired up about. It's called Reason Your Brains Out, where we put out a coaching claim. So for example, a controversial one would be fundamentals are a myth. So bold claim, fundamentals are a myth. And then you get 2 coaches on who come from opposing viewpoints, and you give them 7 spots they can stand on. I strongly agree, I agree, I slightly disagree, or slightly agree, neutral, slightly disagree. It goes down the line. And you say, okay, where do you stand? And one of them's on agree and one of them's on slightly or disagree. And then you just start the conversation. Why? Did anything you hear she say make you change your mind? And you get this back and forth. And I think you just get people to critically think, consider ideas, instead of just get stuck and rooted in your silo in your own way.
Right.
And even as a listener, you get to like, oh, where would I be? Oh, this is getting me. Like, I hadn't thought about that before. So I'm fired up on that. And that way we can even like bring back guests we really liked and have these kind of critical conversations, bring up these claims that are, I did one with female coaches are more effective for female athletes.
Right.
Pepper is a waste of time. You know, I have 50 of them written down. I was actually thinking it'd be kind of fun to do with the two of you. I was thinking, oh, we should get like people who are
have opposite brains.
Perfect. You guys, I wasn't even thinking opposite brains. Like you guys are like people who like work well together. You know.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so we have kind of this. We've only done a couple so far. Where they're kind of experiments. But yeah, I kind of got all this like long list of people we want to do and all these claims. And so now I think we'll do more of that. We'll still have guests and mix that in, but having these series, I think makes sense kind of where we are with the podcast.
Yeah. And then of course you have LMU, which I wanted to make sure we get to. So you took over LMU in 2018?
Yeah.
Ish?
2015.
2015. Okay.
Yeah. 2015 was the
2018 was your final year as a player.
Yeah.
And you took over LMU 2015.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was one of the first beach program. First 5 to 10
LMU
programs?
started the first year there was a program. So it started at 2012.
There's only like 5 programs, right?
Yeah, I think that first year it was like 12 to 15 or something like that.
That's pretty wild to be one of those.
I volunteered the first 3 years with Tom. So those, 2013, 14, something like that.
You've been there the entire time.
The whole time. Yeah, I mean, when I volunteered, I'd come like once a week. But
Well,
yeah.
You know.
We'll claim it.
Yeah. That's back when me and Hayden were still at Playa.
Yeah, we'd
seeing you guys down there.
Yeah, exactly. I remember we'd turn around and say, "Hey, watch what they're doing." We would have all these indoor girls out there just so lost and
watch what the John Hayden's doing. The other guy's kind of I don't know what he's doing.
Don't watch the left side as much. You can watch him a little, but
he's kind of all over the place.
Watch the right side. Yeah. So it's been cool to be with it and with the sport since the beginning.
Yeah. And that program has come, I know you're super humble, but it's come quite a long way. I mean, when you became head coach, I mean, you guys were what, like 2 and something or other, maybe.
Yeah. That first year, I think we won 2 or 3 matches. Yeah. Pretty rough.
And now you guys, you're the 3 or 4 time consecutive WCC champs, took Pepperdine's mantle. And then, I mean, you're always contending for a national championship now.
Yeah.
No, it's been a good run. And it's been fun to do it from like ground zero, you know, almost like, you know, building a house where you see it just rubble.
Yeah.
And we had zero, like, I think the first year was like, the budget was like $4,000. And I remember the first year back, like when I was the volunteer, you know, telling the girl on game day, cause there was a girl who hadn't been able to practice a whole lot. Like, okay, you can't like set a first ball, like, or when they serve you, like, don't set it. Like, legally you can, but like, don't do it. and don't hand set anything.
Well, now you can direct deposit and set it over, apparently.
Yeah. So basically it was there, you know, it's no staff. I mean, I shared an office with like 5 people, no scholarship money. You know, cause we had no budget, we'd just play USC 15 times. Like and now to see where we've come, you know, I have a full staff, 2 full-time staff members, Benny, who's been amazing, Angela Benson, and Angela White now, Cesar Benazzi, who was head coach at Bakersfield. I have 3 student managers who've been.
Oh, I didn't know you got Cesar to come over. Oh, nice. He's a great coach.
He's the man. Really good. Yeah. He's been a great addition. So full staff, 3 student managers, 6 scholarships, built a facility. It's just last March. So a 4-court facility on campus. Now, you know, we travel to Hawaii, we'll travel to Florida State, we'll travel all around the country. And we have a team that can win a national championship. Yeah, we won 4 WCCs in a row and finished in the top 5 the last 3 years. So yeah, and it's also cool, you know, you look around, it's football schools, you know, it's Florida State, it's USC, it's LSU, and little LMU, you know, LMU's never won a national championship in any sport.
No kidding.
No, yeah, which is unbelievable. And it's kind of exciting to feel like we could be the first ones to do it.
Right.
And we could do something that's never been done before.
Mm-hmm.
And it'd be a big deal to our AD, to our athletic department, to the history, the legacy of LMU, hopefully open up some doors for what the university can do. So yeah, and it's been fun to get the support from my AD and do it the way we're doing it.
Yeah.
You know what else has kind of come to mind when you're mentioning all these schools? I'm like thinking of who the head coaches are, and like at one time, most of the good head coaches around the country right now were just like scrapping each other on tour, grinding it out.
Yeah.
Didn't know that beach volleyball would exist.
Yeah.
Didn't know how long their careers were. You guys were just out there.
Yeah.
You know, grinding it out and playing against each other, competing, whatever, hanging out together, probably sleeping on the floor, you know, doing that normal volleyball grind. And now you guys are all like competing against each other, but like with these prestigious programs, and meeting each other on the road is like, it's kind of funny. Like, I'm just like picturing you going to Florida State and be like, hey, Nick, what's up? You got your program, I got mine. This is kind of cool. Never thought this would happen.
It's really fun. Yeah. Todd and Stein and Dane and
exactly.
And, Brooke, I mean, Angie Akers, there's so many, Jeff Alzina even.
Yep.
Santa Clara's not bad.
He's doing a great job. Yeah. He'll build that program. So yeah, it's fun for all of us to still be involved in the sport the way we get to be, and just to have that connection and I think we're all building this sport and bringing it to where it is. And I think we all feel like there's so much more.
Right.
And I think there's a lot of great people, the right people doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And evidence would suggest that you are building it unquestionably, because you look at this generation of American women, and it's like, well, she played at LMU, she was at UCLA, she was at USC, she was at USC, and we have a world championship, number 2 team in the world. you know, like I don't envy any of the women on the kind of the veteran women on the AVP, because you're just coming up and you have to play these 22-year-olds who have been coached by you and Stein and Angie and Nick and Brooke and Jose, and they're all just hand setting, running these creative offenses. And you know, the older players like the Gina Urangos, they didn't. She was like, I think had 1 year of beach maybe. Yeah, she's the very beginning, but she didn't get those resources. And then college beach and pro beach is so funny because it's the opposite of every other sport, where in college you have all the resources, you go pro, and then you don't have any. Yeah. You got to pay for it yourself. Yeah. And so all the pros who didn't have that, they have to pay for all these resources. But in college, you just have so much, and the sport and the American women are so much better for it. It's been super fun for me to see, having no stake in the game. No,
it's been so good. It's just unfortunate for the men. I wish we had something comparable. But yeah, it's I'm not the first to say it, but easy low-hanging fruit is just looking at setting. I mean, if you looked at the top women's pro team, Misty and Carrie's a great example, right? They're bump setting. April Ross, bump set her whole career. If you look at a fives court at a mid-level school, you'd see hand setting from 15 feet off the net, and it would be perfect. If you go to a juniors tournament, I mean, they're throwing their hands on every ball, and it's just amazing. I mean, to think that all those years, how was, April wasn't hand setting,
right?
Just amazing that, just having these opportunities, maybe some coaches to push them, it's led to lots of development, and it's exciting to see. And I think the world's starting to see it too. More interest in European countries. We've got Australian, so more and more like coming to use the system. Just like all the other Olympic sports are filled with international, in the NCAA. So yeah, it's been great to see.
Yeah. And I think that comes back to sort of, because I think Karch and Nina Matthews were so anti-handset, because they always said, why would I risk giving up a point if I could just bump set? Yeah. But I've sort of done very crude and exact math in my head, where I think if you double 1, maybe even 2 balls per set, percentages, it's worth it. Yeah. Because you're putting your partner in a much more precise location 9 times out of 10 with a hand set than a bump set.
Yeah.
So you're going to give up points. You just didn't realize it. It's not as obvious as a double call.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like saying, well, you're going to miss more serves if you jump when you hit it. It's like,
right.
yeah, but there's a reward.
But
yeah, we're going to get more knockouts and score more points. And when I hand set, I'm more accurate and my hitter can kill more balls and it's more predictable and we can run a more dynamic offense. So,
right.
Yeah. With some risk, there's a reward. And if you give people chances to explore it, experiment, they can develop the skill. But when you say, no, that's, you made a mistake. No, put that away. We don't do that. That's, we're going to give up points. Then it's hard to develop the skill. But yeah, if you give them that chance, and it's amazing how rare it does happen because they get so many chances to practice it and you can develop that. Yeah.
Except for when they change the rules.
Yeah.
10:30?
10:30? Okay. Well, we'll get you on the road on time. Just wanted to make sure we hit on, but who should we be looking at? LMU this year. You mentioned you've learned 7 different languages.
Yeah.
Fluently.
I wish, yeah. Man, married to a Puerto Rican, I could barely speak Spanish. On our team, we returned 8 starters.
Wow.
Valma Pretty was the All-American last year. So I think she's be top of our lineup. We have a girl named Michelle Schaefer.
Okay.
Who's indoor. She's been playing indoor and she played at Santa Clara and transferred over and she's a stud athlete. A little bit reminds me like a Megan Rice who we had.
Okay.
Really good jumper, really quick, really good arm.
The world finally learned how good Megan was last year.
Yeah, I was excited. That was fun for us to see her breakthrough. I think we're deep. Isabel Rafael, who her boyfriend is Jonathan for Sweden. Isabel is also long and jumps well and
jump set.
Working on it. But good all around player. And her partner, a girl named Abby Thorup from Canada, who was one of our best players the last couple of years. I can go down the list, but yeah, I think we're really deep. 1 through 6, probably the deepest we have, where it was usually pretty clear the delineation between 5 and 6, and I think there's a battle we'll have for 4, 5, and 6, which it's fun to have that sort of competition going.
Yeah. What'd you think of the first fully single elimination tournament last year? Because I was looking at because you guys played Hawaii. First round, if I remember right.
First round, yeah.
I was like, holy cow, that's a tense first round match.
Yeah. It wasn't the draw we wanted, but we played pretty well. It's fine. I liked the double. It's kind of the spirit of our sport, and we just have a small window of getting media attention, and the window got shrunk. I think we finished 5th last year and played 2 matches. We finished 5th the year before, and I think we played like 6 matches or 5 matches. So in all those matches were on ESPN. So you just taking away those opportunities is a bummer. I would say if we were at a 32 team tournament, a 48 team tournament, then I start to get it.
Yeah.
But for 16,
especially Wednesday through Sunday.
Yeah.
Right. Cause you run it, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah.
There's plenty of time for a 16 team double elim.
Yeah.
I think, like you said, because I know that Dane, he's a big advocate for the single elim, and his argument is, well, the NCAA basketball tournament, but it's also 64 teams over a month, pretty much. But I think 16, you have the time, and I don't think double elim is very difficult to follow. And I also think that the advantage for beach volleyball is that it's the one time College Beach is on national TV, and you're going to play double elim. Most teams you're going to regress to the mean and have 2 of your best teams in the finals versus single elim, you might end up with a 6 versus 4. And then if you get a couple casual viewers, are like, is this the national championship? It's like, that's a bummer that we didn't have like a USC versus LMU or UCLA.
And it's tough. I don't like stuff where it's the actual best team like often isn't the national champion. You know, like
it's just the hottest team.
The culmination of an entire season, who was the best throughout the season, that's who I want to be the national champion.
Yeah.
But when you create these systems where like there's a good chance that they might not be, it's like surfing where they change the entire season. The world champion comes down to the last event versus the girl who just smashed everyone all season. Sensitive subject because my Hawaii
is especially
girl
touchy because Chris is Hawaiian.
Yes, BS. But yeah, I agree. I don't like seeing that as a fan.
Yeah.
But I get the magic of March Madness, and we have this Cinderella stories. It's fun to sell, I suppose.
I think it's also financial. It's cheaper, single limb.
Right, that's true.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, hopefully it grows into 32, and that's then we all get more matches. But for now it's 16. It's a bummer. So it is what is what it is. We'll be excited to be there, and we want to win 4. So yeah.
Well, it'd be great to see LMU bring home its first natty across the board.
Yeah, long way to go.
But you guys start your season in Hawaii.
Yeah,
and that is an epic collection of teams.
Yeah.
For season opener, it's you guys, USC, UCLA, Hawaii. Am I missing anyone?
And little Andrew Fuller at Stanford.
And Stanford, and little
Allen,
Billy.
Yeah, and Stanford's stacked. It's a good team. And we've never lost to them, so can't do it this year.
Rivalry.
It's going to be, and just I don't know. I guess you obviously try to know better, but how the weather will be that point in time of year. But it's a little bit of a shock from going from here to there. It's a 3-day tournament, so we'll be playing lots of matches. Also, always the first tournament of the year when you're not quite in match shape, like the stress and anxiety, and so it'll be interesting, all that sort of stuff, but it's a fun way to start. Last year we started a little bit light. We actually started 16-0, which was great, but I don't know if we got enough feedback where this year we could start the year 0-6. I wouldn't be surprised. We lose to all those great teams, but we'll get so much good feedback, so much good data, learn so much about our teams. They'll go through some ups and downs together, and I think it'll lead to just more better teams going. So I like it, at least as of now. I like it.
Yeah.
We'll see. Yeah, we've never started like this, so we'll see.
That's always been Tom Izzo's strategy at Michigan State, where he just front loads and makes it a brutal schedule, and then you lighten it, make your kind of switches that you need to make, and then just backloads it again.
Yeah.
Michigan State's always good.
Yeah. Something to it. I mean, I think in general, I just want to play good teams. That's how you get better. You play good players that they teach you stuff and you learn stuff. So we err towards playing teams that are going to push us, and we try to be really diligent about learning. It's just we win, we lose. That's we want to win. It's good, but just what's the info do we take? What's the next steps? What do we learn from that experience? What did it show us? I think all that's what it's about. So I think going through that cycle, going through those experiences, coming back the next, after a weekend tournament, coming to film, getting some data, going into training on a mission. I mean, that's the fun stuff with team building and the season. That's why the season's so fun.
Well, I know that you're not on social, but where can our listeners find what you and the Coach Your Brains Out crew are up to? And then just as important, where can we keep up with LMU Beach Volleyball?
Let's see. John.mayer@lmu.edu. Just email me. Coach Your Brains Out. I think we have some stuff, but I don't know. LMU. I don't know. Google it. Yeah. Yeah. I'd be the worst at any sort of promotion. But before we close, I was thinking about your, Travis, and I think both of you guys, what you guys are doing here has been so great for the sport. And again, honored to be a part of it. But even just not even just all the your ability to, the stories you write, the way you've brought our sport to life is so needed, and it's so awesome the way you've done it. I think of just for so long, our sport hasn't been covered the right way, and to have, I love the way you just. Yeah, I love reading your insights and the way you, I think, just humanize and make our sport more interesting. So
Thank you.
That's my promotion would be read your volleyball magazine articles and listen to the podcast. I think it's been fun to see your journey and just the impact you've made. I would say, Tri's played in the Olympics and I won a couple AVPs, but I think the impact you've made on our sport, through the stories you tell, through obviously the books you guys have written, but all those articles, I think the impact is bigger than anything players have done, and you've done a lot with your playing career too. So that's my promo is thanks for reading your articles. Yeah.
I appreciate it. It's super kind. Yeah. It's fun. Like I said, there's nothing mundane when I wake up excited every day. And that's what excites me. So I'm glad it's had an impact.
Yeah. We'll keep it going.
We will. Now we're going to add some coaching to it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, new mission. Yeah. Yeah,
so,
I'm excited. I guess before we close too, I got to ask a question. What excites you guys about the dynamic of your guys' new team?
I think I was telling Delaney about this, that like me and Tri, our relationship's been funny because before we were friends, I was interviewing him for a book. And then, so he was just kind of like, it was like an interviewee. And then we were partners on the podcast. And over time, we eventually became friends, but it's just, we've always had like a multifaceted
common interests,
kind of with one another. And now with coaching, I think so much about it at the professional level, because I'm not going to tell Tri really how to form a platform, but I know how to communicate with them. I know kind of what fires him up, and I think we work really well together here, and I don't really know why that wouldn't translate there. And it's just kind of adding another layer to what's been a really fun relationship so far.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we have a good dynamic in terms of just business, friends, whatever. It's just kind of built authentically. So to bring that onto the court should be pretty natural. But at the same time, I've sat here and spoke about volleyball with him, sitting here listening. Like he's learned. He wrote that Volleyball for Milkshakes book without like asking me how to write it and what it's about, because he just knows my story. He knows me. I speak my mind on this show. So he's learned so much about me in that way. And so he has all that knowledge, and I can trust him in that way. Yeah. And then he's put in his time as well now. You know, the beginning is like literally a rookie. Like I'm teaching him all this stuff about volleyball. Yeah. But then he went out there and experienced it himself as a player. He's been at all these practices. He's been interested. So I'm seeing all the pieces kind of come together, and I know what I need now. And I'm like, I need someone who understands me, and I need someone who can listen and is like calm and has those pieces of their brain that I maybe don't have, you know, filling my gaps. Yeah. And I think that's probably what we have best is like filling each other's gaps. And I'm not insecure about my shortcomings, but like I do get excited when other people can help me fill those gaps. And hopefully I can bring the same, like I know I need to bring something to the table for him. Yeah. Hopefully getting him to if he's a rookie coach and he goes to the Olympics, like, come on, that'll be a joke. He's like, I've been coaching for 3 months here in Paris. Like, it'd be freaking hilarious.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Guy does it all.
That'd be awesome.
But I think what you said about, I really want someone who understands me.
Yeah, exactly.
And it makes sense that he does, and it makes sense that you would want that.
Yeah,
and how
exactly.
that would be a good dynamic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's it.
Cool.
We'll see though.
Yeah.
See how it goes.
Yeah, it's hopefully it's a little rocky, right? You want it to be.
Oh, it will be.
Yeah, you want to challenge each other and have some successes and some lows, and go through some stuff.
Yeah, so I'm curious how those times will come.
And I think that's where, because we've gotten close, like our wives are good friends. When Austin's able to become friends with kids, like him and Naya will be friends. And I think because of that closeness, it's always kind of a risk because like you can jeopardize that friendship. Sure. But I think that it's more sibling like, where I know how to push my brothers and they know how to push me back, and then we'll eat dinner that night and it's fine.
Right. Yeah, and it's also, if I'm gonna fail with someone, I'll fail with my boys. And it was like when I play with Trev, it was like, it's not all, hey, my livelihood's on you, bro. Yeah. It's like, nah, let's go roll together. If we win, we'll win together. If we lose, we'll lose together. Yeah. And I'm good with it at the end of the day. Versus like some people, you put an expectation on them. You bring a coach in, you better make me win. Like, deep down, you kind of have that energy, and it just doesn't work.
Not the same connection.
Yeah, it's like, no, well, I'm gonna give my best, you give your best, and whatever that is, I'm good with. Yeah, kind of thing.
Yeah, did it with the right people.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that means a lot.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm excited to follow along.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, and when
consult you.
Well, when you guys come out with Coach Your Brains Out 2.0, we'll have you back in here to promote your guys' book.
We'll get on Billy. That's all you got to do, and we'll finish whatever.
Get him down here from Stanford.
Yeah. He's gonna finish his fantasy books, but
heck definitely. Let's get you on the road.
Thanks for coming on. Good luck this season. We'll be following along to LMU.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Shoots.